Good evening, fellow island riders. Good to see you again. Figured I'd shake it up a little bit. Instead of always catching you in the morning, maybe I'd catch you in the evening after work. Just got finished a good day at work, actually. It wasn't too bad. So I figured, why not take the old KLR, the Silver Fox, out and hit the trails a little bit. And of course, since we're going to do that, why not take you guys along with me? So we got a little bit of highway ahead of us before we get into the woods. So I figured might as well take the Scenic Route and come through Pownal here. I try not to make things, too serious on this channel. I like to be kind of laid back. I like to be chill. I like to live my entire life like that as much as possible. I hear it extends your entire life in general by reducing the amount of stress you put into it. But that said, we actually had one of our fellow island riders go down today. Not today as you're watching this, but today as I'm recording this. So, yeah, I'm a little bit rattled about it coming through town. I was in town and I was in the 5 o'clock traffic and things were a little bit bumper to bumper. And even then I saw a couple near misses with a couple cars. There was a guy who went into, the opposing lane traffic in front of me so he could scoot around people to make a left turn. And I was just, normally I'm pretty relaxed on the bike, but a little bit extra rattled after hearing what happened to our boy Simon. He's all right, number one. Get that out of the way. His bike took a bit of a beating. He's rocking a Triumph Street Triple, and it had some fairing damage. The dash got busted off of it. The lights got busted off of it. And I'll tell you what did it to him, folks. It was a deer in the middle of town. And I'm not saying that this is like a metropolis or anywhere where he lives in, but this is still a built-up area. And a deer just came right out and smoked him. He went onto the road. He got some road rash. His helmet's all scuffed up. So, if you're watching this, give a shout out to Simon in the comments there. Let him know you're thinking about him and wish him well. Wish him a speedy recovery, because we all want to get back to riding again. So that touches on a topic that I wanted to cover previously, and I touched on it a little bit as far as PEI is concerned, but what do you do when you encounter wildlife? What do you do when you encounter animals that you have absolutely no control of and are, quite frankly, incredibly unpredictable? How do you avoid those situations? How do you get out of those situations? What do you do when something runs right out in front of your bike? Ultimately, there's not a lot you can do. You can try to, predict the behavior of the animal as much as possible, but really you're at their mercy. And I know, coming from New Brunswick, the mainland, that deer and moose and bears, coyotes, they're all a real big deal, and you got to pay attention. So another thing to cover, especially about trails like this, one of the things that, especially on PEI, and we covered this a little bit in another video, but you can encounter horses. And horses around noisy machinery, fast-moving machinery can be incredibly unpredictable and extremely dangerous for the rider. And there is a protocol for how to properly approach a rider on the trails who's on a horse. Now, I'm going to start to go into this, and you're going to get a little sting in the back of your head where you're like, oh, you know what, that's a lot of work, Dowski. Maybe I'll just go by them really slow. But you know what? Just follow the steps, and you know what? Because it's easier to pick a bike up off the ground and start again instead of someone having to learn to walk all over again. So if you see a horse coming down the road, say I turned onto this trail, and there was one right there. First thing I would do is I would slow down. I would dip my visor up. I would turn my engine off. I would watch the rider, and I would make good eye contact with them. And they'll tell me what to do next. Likely they'll just walk on by. And then I'll make sure that they're nice and clear behind me, give them about, 25 meters or so. And then we can fire up the bike or the quad or the side-by-side or what have you, and away you go. Alright, let's check out and see what else we got in this trail here. Let's scoot up on the tank a bit for this one here. Yeah. It gets some dark in here. And the light's getting lower the deeper the season we get into, the deeper into the season we get. Oh, what do we got here? I think I've always wanted to check this out, but I haven't really made it into it before. Let's go see what's in here. It's definitely beaten down quite well. Now this is not the campsite, and it's just a pile of rocks, guys. It's just a pile of rocks. I think there's more to it down there, but I don't think that's quite worth it. And I'm not a big fan of trying to play with rocks tonight like this. There, let's see where else we can go here. I was surprised this isn't as muddier. Oh, there it is a little bit. A little bit of slop there, but nothing really. And here, we'll try this. Impromptu, I don't know where this goes. Does it just come up here, I think? Probably. Sand. Oh, I think it goes a little farther. Let's see. It's a beautiful evening to be out doing this kind of stuff. Oh, there's a little trail. I think that's part of the Biscuit Trail, though. Not a bike-friendly thing. So touching back on the subject of deer on the side of the road and on the road, having grown up in New Brunswick and on the mainland and having to have to deal with that on a regular basis and seeing a lot of cases where that's been, troublesome for drivers and people's cars. The only big pieces of advice that I could give you is that if you see a deer on the road ahead of time, like it's just chilling out there in the middle of the highway or something, the first thing you should do is, start to slow down. Don't gamble with it and try to see if you can just drive straight through and hope for the best. It's not worth it, because you don't know what way that deer is going to go. Signal to the vehicles behind you that you're slowing down, because they might be in full zombie mode, right? And they might not even be seeing it. Plus, you might be obstructing their view and you might not be able to see the deer there too. So maybe just put your hand out back like that, start flipping on the brakes, make some notice, make some noise, you know, visual noise for them. I think we shut down right here. But then as you approach the deer, you know, again, just like the horse, if you can, pull over, come to a stop and wait for it to clear out and be safe. And then, as you're doing that, stay super frosty. Oh, it's an engine block in a car. Imagine. Stay frosty, because you know what? I've learned deer travel in pairs. There's usually a buck chasing a doe through the woods. And that buck usually chills out in the ditch. Another good camping spot right there. Maybe we'll go there next time. This is quite far off the beaten path, so it's kind of nice. That was a rut. That was a good one. A little slippy into that. But yeah, deer travel in pairs, so if you see one on the road, look for the one in the ditch. Because if you pass the one in the road, it might be the one in the ditch that just slams into the side of your car or slams into the side of you, and they run with a reckless abandon like you wouldn't believe. They just go into things like they think it's like they can pass right through them, but they definitely can't. Such a fun little trail here. So yeah, folks, I mean, those aren't all the tips for dealing with wildlife. Those are just the ones that I think of all the time when I think about things running out in front of me. You know, talk to your experienced riders. Check online for tips on YouTube from other content developers for sure. And always stay frosty and stay alert and be aware of the surroundings. Your situational awareness is probably your best defense when it comes time to deal with animals. And again, if you do take a hit and you do go down, just remember, wow, that was a triple dodge. I don't know. Jeez, all right, we're sitting down now. Fine, I take the hit. Anyway, yes, if you do go down, just remember, you can't predict everything. You can't predict everything. It's impossible. You aren't going to know how these animals behave, and just try to gear up and be as safe as you possibly can so you're ready for the slide, like Simon was, not injured, and you'll be all right. So I think I'm going to hop through Mount Stewart, slide through Scotchford, and then head home and have some supper. But once again, thanks a lot for coming out on the ride with me, folks. I always love it when you're along for the ride. It's great. And we'll see you next time. Take care.